In this phase of the DEXI build, we'll work towards enclosing everything with the bottom plates, installing the various peripherals. We'll install our Talon gear around the edge of the plate. We'll then install our battery tray, our receiver. If you bought the full DEXI kit, this comes with the Express LRS receiver, but if you're familiar with PX4, you know that you have numerous receiver and protocol options. Then we'll follow up with placing the LED ring around the mount, securing it into place, and of course, plugging everything in. So let's go ahead and proceed with the bottom plates. You'll notice that the press nut we have here in the center, we want that facing down towards the inside of the frame. And I'll go ahead and just install what we call our Rolo gear. That will give us a little bit of padding for rough landing. I have our 8mm button head screw. We'll push this through. And I'm putting this into place now just so that we know orientation. It's always important that we get that right and not have anything mounted incorrectly or upside down. So Rolo's in place, D towards the front, and then the next step will be, you'll see these 12, we call them Talons. They're essentially landing gear that work in conjunction with the Rolo. So what we'll do is we'll put them on halfway, I'll slide them in, and then what you'll see is when we mount the bottom plate, that'll go through here, we'll put our washer and then our screw down. So there are 12 of these. I'll go around the edge. We're using these around the outside corners. That just provides added bump protection and also ensures softer landings. And as I mentioned in a previous video, if you decide you ever want to print your own, maybe in a different color, you're more than welcome to download those in our GitHub repo and print them yourself. You'll notice the Talons are in place. Pay attention to the position of each. You don't want them anywhere near the front or rear. This just gives us added protection around each corner. So you'll notice these three that I haven't placed. I would just want to do that for you guys to see. They're really flexible. You can sort of bend it back and then push it over. The fact that they're made out of TPU really makes that a lot easier. So now you'll notice that everything is lined up. You can see the hole here. So what I'll do now is grab a washer, an 8mm button head screw, place that through, and then we'll just put it into each of these holes. I'll use my 2mm driver and I'll go around the frame, secure everything in place. We'll go ahead and tighten it down. Our 12 Talon gear are in place, and we need to make sure we don't forget about the rest of the standoff. So we have 2 here, 4 here, 1 on each side, and then 2 here. Use the same process as previously. 8mm screw with washer. All of our bottom standoffs are mounted. Now, this is a good time. I encourage you to go back and make sure both top and bottom screws are secure. And one way I recommend doing that is sometimes you'll come in and twist and you'll notice that the standoff will twist with the screw. So use just a small pair of needle nose. I also recommend like a little cloth or whatever you have laying around to just grab onto that. Make sure that you don't let it spin and get everything nice and tight, both sides. But that being said, see here our DEXI is now fully assembled with top and bottom plate. We'll move on to installing the final components. Let's now install our LED ring mount and the LED strip. At the time of this video, we have 44 what we call pixels here going around. The cool thing is each one of these pixels is addressable in drone blocks or Python running on top of ROS2, and you even have the ability to do various animations. It's really a cool visual indicator when you're programming to be able to control the ring as well as do interesting things like have the ring change color based on what flight mode you're in. So the first thing I'll do is you'll notice that there's a little bit of hot glue securing these connections, and there is a 3M adhesive tape on the back. What I'm going to do is first feed the connector through the hole of the ring, and we want to just do a quick test fit. I'll wrap this around, make sure that the LED strip is inside the track of the ring. You'll see that's a nice, good fit. I'll go ahead and peel off this tape. Make sure we get it right over that hole, and then I'll just pull on the strip while pressing down with my other thumb to make sure that the adhesive sticks to the 3D print. I'll go back over it one more time just to make sure everything is nice and secure. You may want to follow up just on this other end with a little bit of hot glue. I'll, for the time being, just press it under this hot glue on this side, and now our LED strip is installed onto the ring. Before we get to plugging things into our artboard, I want to give a bit of an overview of an order of operations. We have this battery tray, which is going to slide in here and click down. We'll screw it into place, but we don't want to do that just yet because we need to have these ports accessible for plugging in both our LED ring as well as our receiver. I have this separate standalone artboard that is yet to be used as a point of reference. It's facing the same direction as the artboard we mounted into DEXI. And the two ports that we're concerned with are this one, which is the LED and GPIO, the general purpose IO port. We'll be able to do some cool stuff beyond LED control in the future. And then we have this 4-pin RC input port. And this RC port, which is where our receiver will plug in, and that will give us remote control with our radio transmitter. What I'll move on to is demonstrating what we'll do here. I'm not going to hard mount anything yet. I'm just going to put things into place. So the first thing we'll do is you'll notice this larger hole here on my right side. I'll take this connector from our LED, plug it in, push it in sideways. Don't use too much force, should just glide right in and give us accessibility for our cable. This will take a little bit of finagling, navigating the cable around, but you should be able to get this into place. I recommend just some needle nose and gently place that and then click it into place. We'll go ahead and see how this looks. So we have the LED strip going through this hole behind this standoff and then up into our LED and GPIO connector. We'll leave this unmounted for now. The next thing I'd like to do is just take care of our receiver connector. Once again, that's this port. Then I'll just use my needle nose to press it down, and now we have a good connection. I'll go ahead and, for now, just feed this through. Our receiver mount will snap into place right here, and we'll be able to mount that here in a couple of minutes. So both of the LED ring and the receiver are in place. I'm going to go ahead and slide the battery tray. You'll notice this little tab on the back, and it'll press nicely into the cutouts of the frame. Then we'll take one of our 8mm M3 screws, go through the whole of the tray directly into our M3 press nut, tighten that down just enough so it's secure. Then we'll bring our battery straps through our LED ring. You'll see these triangular cutouts in the DEXI frame. Snap both sides into place. Now our LED ring, receiver, and battery tray are nice and secure. I have the receiver mount, 3D print. You can see it says RX for receiver. It clicks directly into this E on the DEXI top plate. We don't want to come around the side here for fear of contact with the propeller. So I'll run it up through this cutout, and we'll just slide it into the mount. And for now, I'm going to leave it there. When we get to binding, we want to be able to see the LED, but in the future, we'll just secure that in with a little bit of hot glue. And now our receiver is mounted. And finally, front of the frame, camera, receiver, LED, battery, XT60, and of course, our Wi-Fi antenna mount. And there she is. We've successfully assembled DEXI with all of the peripherals. Good job with the build. I hope you enjoyed the process. And now we'll move on to configuring PX4 and getting ready for flights.